Hi guys, Andrew Azzopardi and another episode of What Am I Drinking? Today we have a little bit of a different episode, having written in the Taste and Flair, which is out today with the Malta Independent, about value wines. Today I decided to go for a value wine that is a little bit of an exception to the usual value wines. I will upload the article on my website www.andrewazzopardi.net so that you can have a bit of a look at what I usually refer to as value wines. Today I chose a Bordeaux value wine, and it's an exception because Bordeaux is not a place that I would think of. It's not a region that I would think of as a place for value wines. Now, when I mean value wine, I mean a wine that is not necessarily cheap, but a wine that punches above its weight, price-wise, as in quality to price ratio. So if I buy a wine for 20 euros, but I think that the quality is worth 50, 70, 100 euros, then for me that's a value wine, irrelevant of the actual price. Now, this particular wine is a Chateau Potensac. It's from Bordeaux, from the Médoc appellation in Bordeaux, and it's a Cru Bourgeois. Cru Bourgeois meaning it is medium, so it's a medium level quality. So it's below the Cru Classé quality certification, meaning that generally speaking, these type of wines cannot command such high prices as a Cru Classé. I think that stands to reason. What I can tell you is the price of this wine today, irrelevant of the vintage. I'm speaking about recent vintages now. So if you had to buy a 2014, 2015 vintage Chateau Potensac, you would probably spend between 25 to 35 euros, give or take a few euros. However, in my opinion, the price of the wine could easily fetch 50, 60, even maybe 70 euros and still please my palate at that price. So for me, this is definitely a value wine. Now, how did I discover this value wine? It's not just going through the supermarket or the merchant and trying all the different wines. There is a slight technique to actually finding these value wines, and that is probably going into the history of the wines themselves. So this particular wine, the Chateau Potensac, was bought by a certain Michel Delon, and there's written Delon on the bottle. So Delon is the producer. Michel Delon bought Chateau Potensac in 1970. Way back in 1970, Potensac was one of those maybe overlooked vineyards in the Médoc region. It wasn't a Cru Classé, but Michel Delon saw potential over there and bought the chateau. Now, Michel Delon is known for his other chateaus, namely Chateau Léoville-Lascaz, Chateau Nenan, and Clos du Marquis, which are some top wines. Léoville-Lascaz is a classified second growth, though it's really up there, and you pay big money for that. On the other hand, this Chateau Potensac, again at 25, 35 euros, is made by the same producer that's producing wine, you know, of 100 or 120 euros more than this. So you're already getting the producer and the winemaking techniques from this Delon guy. So what was interesting is in 2003, they tried to change the system for Cru Bourgeois. So this is a Cru Bourgeois, and Chateau Potensac applied to be Cru Bourgeois Exceptionnel, which they got, and they were one of 7 or 8 vineyards, wineries, that got the Cru Exceptionnel status. Unfortunately, in 2010, or fortunately, however you look at it, the Cru Bourgeois Exceptionnel was nullified and everything became Cru Bourgeois again. So it just all became a standard. So what's really interesting about this is Michel Delon, whether you liked him or hated him, he was a very well-known winemaker, and he used to reduce his crop sometimes by 50% in exceptional years. That's That's crazy. So obviously these guys want to make money. And when you have a potential of X amount of wine that you could make from your crop, he would reduce by 50%, so he would chop off half the grapes so that the remaining grapes would be even better. And that's basically a loss of money, but an increase in quality. And that's exactly what he did with places like Chateau Potensac. So when he bought this place in 1970, he increased and bettered the winemaking techniques, renovated the vineyards, and the wine is what it is today, still at 25, 35 euros. Now, this is a vintage 2000, and 2000 is the millennial. People know it as a fantastic year in Bordeaux. And when we mean by a fantastic year, the vintage was lucky that they had the right warmth, the right temperatures, the right summer, the right winter for everything to come into balance to produce the perfect wine. But what happens is these exceptional vintages have the potential to age, and that is why I chose a Chateau Potensac 2000, because I know that it can age. If, for example, I bought a Chateau Potensac 2013, probably not an exceptional vintage, or definitely not an exceptional vintage, then I would have drunk it maybe 5, 8, maximum 10 years later, but still I would have got bang for my buck. So it is still a great value wine, and probably would have been even cheaper in a not so good year, such as 2013. As you can see over here, it's a little bit lighter in color, so it's a little bit more tawny, a little bit more brown. It's, 20 years already. It's impressive. 20 years for a wine that you can buy at 25, 30 euros, and you can age it in your cellar. So this is the type of wine that if you had to come to me and say, listen, I want to start building up my cellar, I want to invest in wine, but I don't want to spend hundreds and thousands of euros. I want to start small, but I want it to be interesting. This would be one of those wines that I would probably suggest to you. And amazing, there is still fruit. And when fruit is the primary flavor that already comes out from the nose, you already know that the wine is still there, it's still vibrant, it's still got it, basically. The tannins are still there, still pulling, but they're not as stringent. They're not too tough. I mean, it has 20 years on it, and it probably did it much good because the 2000 vintage had really astringent tannins in the beginning. And I would say that if you had to drink this after 5 years, it probably would have been too much. So now it's nice and smooth and soft. The acidity, though, is still there, so it's still refreshing. And lovely flavors of blackberry, a little bit of raspberry. It's very savory, so I get this nice savory feeling to it. That's really nice. And then you also get the typical Bordeaux flavors such as cigar box, tobacco, these lovely secondary and tertiary flavors, leather, a little bit of animal. Now that's really, really, really enjoyable. Just to finish off, just to remind everyone, Bordeaux is usually a blend of 3 grapes, which is Cabernet, Merlot, and Cabernet Franc, in any order and any percentage. So you can have just, for example, Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc without Merlot. So it depends on how you want to blend it. It's never written on the bottle, but this one is actually a 60% Cabernet, 25% Merlot, and the remainder is Cabernet Franc. So it's a lovely blend. The Cabernet Franc adds a little bit of salt and pepper to the flavors, which I think is wonderful. Great, this really is a steal. So guys, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a look at my website, www.andrewazzopardi.net or www.number12wines.com for supplying super yachts. Cheers and have a good one.